You are listening to Power Marketing with Kevin Lee. Kevin and his agency Didit have helped thousands of businesses win through superior marketing, as have his books, articles, speaking engagements, and the E-Marketing Association Power Marketing podcasts. Here's Kevin.
Today I'm chatting with my friend Dan Kartzman, who is also a client. We launched Community Power LI with Dan, which is essentially a DBA under Edgewise, which is his company that focuses on power generation. So I'd love to have everyone hear the backstory to Community Power LI, and so they can understand what it is that we were marketing together.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Kevin, for having me on. Looking forward to this conversation. To give the backstory, so Edgewise, we're a development company, a clean energy development company, and we really wanted to work on interesting new projects, things on the cutting edge of clean energy. And there's something called community solar, community electricity, that's growing in a big way in the United States and is a big part of decarbonizing the power sector in the U.S. And so there are programs in New York State as well as other states that do this. We found one in Long Island. We're Long Island based that we really liked, and we were able to get through the development process and bring those projects to light. And that's going to end up in our ability to bring in about 15,000 to 20,000 customers. And for the first part of the project, we've already accomplished that and brought in about 7,500 working with the Didit team.
Great, cool. Well, to me, the idea of having to, build the power generation facility is pretty daunting. Of course, for you, it may be second nature, but getting capital investment and getting all the ducks in a row to be able to spin up a power generation facility seems sort of scary. So explain how that necessitates the pre-sales of your subscribers and your customers.
Yeah, so it's an interesting question. A lot of our subscribers or potential subscribers thought that we needed them to sign up in order for us to get the capital to build the project. And that's not the case. We get the capital to build the project, and then we use some of that capital to sign people up. So what was important about getting, our project fully subscribed prior to it launching, not prior to construction starting, but prior to electricity being put on the grid, was really for our investors' comfort. And that's where the important was, as well as our comfort, right? As soon as it goes live, now we have something we have to sell, and there's a time limit within which we must, sell it.
Cool. Yeah. So it's sort of a little bit of a catch-22, but then, once you had the commitment of all the parties, we were able to really hit the ground running with the marketing. I remember when we were working together to sort of narrow down the brand name, because when we were first working together, you sort of knew what you wanted to build, but we weren't really sure what we wanted to call it. And we obviously ended up settling on Community Power Long Island or Community Power LI. What were some of the factors that brought you to that name? Was the word community really important to you, or were there other factors that brought you into that name?
Yeah, community is really important, right? Because the whole sector is called community solar, community electricity. And I wanted to make sure, everyone's always looking for the catch, because it's essentially a 10% off product that gives you, clean energy, and you don't really have to do anything but pay your bill, and you're coming out ahead. So I think community implies trust. I think community implies a togetherness, opportunity for all. And we really like the both the overlap of the official term as well as, those meanings. And then I think, the Power LI was really about, okay, well, what is it? Power sounded a little better than electricity to us. And then LI, obviously, Long Island.
Right. I remember we initially spent a bunch of time brainstorming around all the marketing channels, right? Paid marketing channels as well as earned media and PR. But paid obviously is much more scalable. You need to be able to put money in and then get subscribers out. So I remember we had done some preliminary sort of spreadsheets around marketing mix and what we thought might end up working. And how did the marketing mix that we ended up with differ than the one we initially envisioned? And how should other marketers think about the marketing channels as they sort of have a temporary one that is sort of part of the experiment, and then continuing to evolve that experiment as they evolve their marketing?
This was a good experience, particularly working with the Didit team here. We went in with our hypotheses. We tried to test them in low cost ways and then build on what works. So I would say, where we started with, 7 to 10 different channels, which with a couple we thought were winners. So we put a little more investment into those. By the end, we really saw there were, a couple of channels that worked really well, and a couple of channels that did different things that we felt were valuable beyond just bringing in the subscriber.
Right. You mentioned one of the things you liked about the word community is that it conveys trust. And I think for a lot of brands, building brand trust is essential to get consumers to take action, particularly if it's a number that's a substantial number. Maybe not so much on trying a new stick of chewing gum, but when you're going to make a decision around something big, there needs to be that trust. So when you're starting a new brand, what are some things marketers should use to get sort of a halo effect on their brand? Are spokespeople important? Are other relationships and partnerships important in sort of building that trust in a new brand?
Yeah, I think for us, right, we're a hyper local brand. You can't sign up with us if you're not in Long Island, right? Every regional area has its slight differences, things like that. Our situation was, this was the first project we were launching. It's an ambitious project. And we didn't think spokespeople can work. I mean, ultimately what you want to do is make sure the message is being conveyed from sources that they trust, whether that's a friend, so you're pushing on referrals, whether that's, local TV, whether that's spokespeople or PR, right? You just you want them to hear it and hear it multiple times from entities that they trust. I think the other piece of that is it's about education. So in our case, we needed an in-house sales team, and we needed to encourage, as much as we wanted everyone to just go through the registration flow online, which is easier. We needed a place and to answer questions and educate, but we also needed to make sure that people saw that we were offering that place and that we were welcoming their calls to educate them and get them their answers. Our pitch is not straightforward. It's an education-based sale, although it's only 10 to 30 minutes of education. That's there. And then whatever, talking points and comfort we establish through a one-on-one conversation, we need to replicate that messaging and have that all over the website. We made a small animation. We just tried to find the quickest ways to convey, the truth about the program, the truth about our project, to get people to a level of comfort where they were ready to sign up.
Cool. Well, I remember some of the spending we allocated for CPLI was branding and awareness fund, spending, or you might call it top of funnel spending. But did we also see some interaction effects between that spending and conversion rate, or improved ability for the sales reps maybe to have shorter conversations because people had seen us on TV or seen the brand elsewhere?
What I think it did is, in terms of conversion rate, yes, it upped the conversion rate. More importantly, it kept us top of mind. We looked at, in terms social media marketing, particularly the evergreen approach. We looked at that really as more awareness than direct signups, right? Because it's a lower conversion rate. So we looked at the same thing with we thought the same thing about local TV commercials, same as any kind of out of home advertising. And, it was both to, when you have something, when you're selling something and the value proposition, people feel like it's too good to be true, or there's got to be a catch, then they forget about it. But when they see it everywhere, they turn, okay, you're not spending that kind of money. You're not going up everywhere if you're, if you're a scam. And that's really where we wanted to use. We thought awareness was important, particularly early on.
Yeah, that's a great point, because that top of funnel marketing, to some extent, it that actually conveys legitimacy, right? Because you wouldn't be out there spending TV dollars, you wouldn't be out there in the newspaper if you weren't legitimate, or generally you wouldn't, because you'd have a crazy investor if you were doing it that way. So if I remember correctly, we're actually oversubscribed on the initial phase of the project. So there might be some folks watching this, particularly given the fact that I've got a big footprint on Long Island, who didn't take advantage of the first offer, right? So they didn't get the cheaper, greener energy. Is there still a waiting list that people can go and join?
Yeah, if you go to communitypowerli.com, sign up for our waiting list. If spots open up on this current project, we'll contact you. We also have other projects in the works that as soon as those open up for subscribers, we'll go right to the waiting list to give them the opportunity first. And if I could use this time to give a quick plug, if you have land or significant open roof space on a commercial building, industrial building, something like that, this is a product where you could actually host a solar farm and get paid some money by leasing your roof or leasing your land. So if you're interested in something like that, definitely get in touch, and you can find us through communitypowerli.com.
That's a great point. Every time I fly in and out of any airport, whether it's Long Island, MacArthur, or LaGuardia or whatever, I always look down at the warehouse space, right? And I always look at those roofs and think to myself, like, oh, that would be the perfect place for a solar farm. And I always wonder, sort of like, how does that happen, right? Who decides, like, I realized only after meeting you that it ends up being often a collaboration, right, between the landowner, or even perhaps somebody who has a super long-term lease, and they're in a position to sort of make use of that roof space. So how big does a roof space have to be before it becomes viable?
I mean, it can, it's interesting. It can be of any size, but we're really talking about trying to get to, a half acre to an acre minimum. Ideally we're looking for, acres, plural, 5, 10, 20, harder to get in Long Island. That being said, we can, take a couple of different, roof spaces and maybe a lawn space and cobble those together to get to that level of space, But part of it is, you're able to make some money, but you're also contributing to cleaning up our energy mix on Long Island, and lowering carbon and output, and doing all those great things that are important. So I think it's really it's something that if you do have that space, or people that have that space, something you can think about. We're always happy to have a conversation. And I'd say lastly, not everybody feels this way, but for me, when I see solar farms or wind farms or anything like that, I think it's beautiful, and I think it's beautiful because it's something that you're going past every day, seeing that's part of the future, that's part of the solution, and I think that's important, and it's important for people to see. And if you can do it while making a few bucks and having nothing to do, why not?
Yeah, and certainly energy costs have escalated. The other forms of energy, the more carbon dense forms of energy, have escalated in cost. So someone who might not have thought about it before, all of a sudden, now it really makes more sense fiscally than it might have in the past. So, I would certainly recommend, if people have unused roof space, give Dan a call, track him down. So get back to sort of the marketing conversation. One of the things I really enjoyed about our relationship and getting the brand launched is the collaborative element of it, right? So not every marketer is as collaborative with their agency as you were. So, what are some examples of collaboration that you think we should both be proud of, and what should marketers be looking for in collaborating with their agencies?
Yeah, there were a few things here. I think that one of them is all credit due to Didit, just being super responsive. Every week there were things to look at and execute on, and then meeting the next week, report back and continue to grow and try things iteratively. And that kind of in that kind of flow, you really don't want to miss a week of execution. I found it to be very data driven. So these, the conversations and choices were relatively easy to have. I think one thing I've noticed with other marketing agencies I've worked with before is it's kind of goes one of two ways. Either they just want to do it, and not really listen to you, or they want you to make the final decision, and so they don't have to take full accountability for it. And neither of those options were comfortable for me. That being said, I've been in the residential clean energy industry for about 20 years, and I know how to sell this product, these kinds of services. I know the customer, and there was definitely respect given to that, while also my having respect for that which I don't know. I'm not a marketer, myself, and having and our collective ability to establish a conversation, an ongoing way of working together that really was the best thing for the project. And there was no ego, there was no whose idea is this. It was just, how do we solve the problem? What are we learning? How do we adjust? What do you think? What do we think? Et cetera. And I think that was huge for us. And if you actually look at our arc of signups, as we tinkered, we just got exponentially better at it, which was really cool to see.
Yeah, that made it particularly fun, right? Because as we doubled down on what worked and eliminated what wasn't working quite as well, it accelerated our ability to grow. And I was probably as shocked as you were that we ended up ahead of schedule and under budget. So at the end of that.
Yeah, no, it was risky because that's not where we were a few months in as we were trying things. And I was getting a little nervous, but we stuck with the process, and that was the outcome. And we're really happy with that.
Cool. Well, for marketers and business executives who feel that their agency isn't holistic or isn't serving their needs, would you recommend that they chat with me and the Didit team?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I really liked about Didit that was a fit for us, the regionality of it for us fit really well. Definitely Northeast Mid-Atlantic is something the team clearly knows very well. And then I think a fully vertical, holistic, approach for customer acquisition, particularly for firms like us, is really important, because it was like, all right, let's try direct mail. Well, 1.5 week turnaround because Didit has a direct mail house. All right, let's try certain aspects of PR. Boom, a week later we're pitching. And because we had a schedule that was mandated by our investors, that would cost us real money if we didn't hit our milestones. That speed, that ability to save time, and also the ability for Didit to be in lockstep across teams, to make sure to either improve on or use the messaging that we know works, was really important and was really beneficial for us.
That's great. We enjoyed being nimble along with you, right? Because we also have had situations in the past where we haven't been able to get turnaround quickly from a client, right? So it's that collaborative system, right? A holistic view of the marketing challenges and the ability to turn things around quickly requires a level of collaboration and cooperation that I think should be aspirational for every business, right? And to get their agency to behave that way if they don't behave that way now. What are some other things going on that you're working on the commercial side? Because I know you don't just have the residential side. You guys also do some commercial work. Anything fun going on there that you're excited about?
Yeah, we really like this model of community electricity. So continue to looking for more opportunities to do that, both on Long Island, New York State, and in the Northeast. So that's been keeping us busy. We also see large energy storage, think batteries, but not just, lithium batteries. Also think of using hydrogen as a long-term way of storing electricity. There's all these new potential ways that could be part of the solution that we all don't really know yet. Recently in the Inflation Reduction Act, there was a lot of capital put to investing in a lot of these newer technologies. So, just really looking at the fit of what kind of projects can go where, and where we want to take our next swings at projects is where we are currently, and then it gets into building the relationships, finding the land, and the investment, and just getting more clean energy production out there, so we can do what is the reason we created Edgewise, and that's to fight climate change every day.
That's great. I look forward to every form of cleaner energy that you guys can deploy on Long Island, and perhaps even beyond Long Island, taking over and reducing the grid's reliance on the sort of carbon heavy sources of energy. So kudos to you for a mission driven company, and I think it's something everyone can agree on.
Yeah, thanks so much. And I can assure you Didit will be part of it as we go forward.
Well, thanks so much, Dan.
Yeah.
Appreciate you joining me for the podcast today.
Right.
Kevin Lee's Power Marketing is available on all your favorite podcast networks. Kevin loves helping businesses excel at marketing. Having marketing challenges? Just like Santa in The Miracle on 34th Street, if Kevin can't help you, he'll know someone who can. Find him on LinkedIn, subscribe, or follow.